This is PJNET.TV, and this is my perspective and comments. In this video segment of My Perspective and Comments, we cover politics, society here and abroad, and the events of the day that are shaping our nation. PJNET.TV, My Perspective and Comment, coming to you with a worldview, one nation under God. Welcome to My Perspective and Comments. And I want to start out right now with an update with what we've been seeing going on with COVID-19. And it looks like globally now around the world, we're seeing Omicron as the dominant variant. And it has overtaken Delta. So this should be, and we should be hearing our politicians and the doctors or so-called doctors that have been that we see on the news a lot. I call them the political doctors. Should be out there touting, hey, you know, promising news here to bring to you, because it appears that Omicron has is displaying, or it looks like around the globe of when it comes to illness, like a cold, like the common cold. You know, the sniffles, the sore throats, achiness, chills, and headache, but I don't hear a clarion call saying, "Hey, this is what we've been hoping for when it comes to a variant that is not that virulent, where it's going to send you to the hospital immediately or over time." But this is it's milder. And more and more, we're hearing more and more regarding that this is definitely milder Omicron, and that there are many, it's showing itself as asymptomatic in many people. But the light at the end of the tunnel is that, one, it's spreading quickly. So now we're actually getting a larger population that have the immunity, and now we're seeing, because it's spreading so rapidly, that's happening globally. So you would hope that you'd hear some of these political doctors and politicians, saying, okay, being optimistic of what's going on. But again, when you've seen what's been going on over almost 2 years regarding this, it seems to be very political. And when a politician gets power the way that they have, and where they're able to shut down businesses, shut down schools, lock the healthy away, and be able to at a moment's notice say, okay, it's a state of emergency in our state, so you're going to do this, this, and this, and oh yeah, get the jab. And that could be what why there seems to be silence and the optimism of us getting through this and finally seeing this for what it appears that it is, something that, yes, it's very infectious, but it's going to spread through and allow people to get to that herd immunity. And so that's what we're seeing here with Omicron, and again, as I've said earlier, that this could be light at the end of the tunnel. Sticking a bit more with COVID-related things, I want to talk about COVID and big tech. And we've had a well-renowned immunologist the inventor of the mRNA vaccine, who has been on various outlets and news groups, and has been bringing some of his concerns of this mRNA vaccine. And he was on the latest that went viral. He was being interviewed by Joe Rogan regarding what's been taking place, and some of Dr. Robert Malone was speaking with Joe Rogan and sharing some concerns about, vaccinations for the young, and what is taking place right now when it comes to how the vaccine is stacking up against Omicron. And that interview has gone viral, but it didn't stay out there very long. We had, as a result, from Dr. Malone coming out and sharing and bringing some important messages and discussing the mRNA vaccine, it got him bounced from Twitter. And Twitter had put a ban on Dr. Malone. And again, this is not a surprise, because we're not only seeing immunologists and doctors, many doctors that have been treating these COVID patients in their practices, and trying to share what they've found has been successful to treat patients that have COVID. If it didn't line up with the political line, then big tech says, no, you can't say that. You're banned. We're shutting you down. You can't say that. You've got to say what the political message is out there. And that's what we've been seeing, voices being silenced. And again, and we've talked about this now for some time, for years now, regarding the big tech censorship, and that something needs to be done these companies are not platforms, but they're publishers, they're editors, and it's such. They should be, people should have the ability to sue these companies when they discriminate in that way. And, we're seeing doctors, we're seeing congressmen, congresswomen, even the president has been banned. And, I have to say, I've dealt with Twitter in some issues, and again, it gets really bad when you tweet out a news article, a truthful news article of facts of what took place, and because it was surrounded by a so-called protected group, you're put in Twitter jail until you repent. And that's the game Twitter plays, and these big tech companies have been playing. And really, at this point, legislation should step in and give society the ability, when they discriminate this way, to be able to take them to court. So we'll see how that plays out when the House and the Senate get taken back to Republicans. We'll see if we see leadership out of from them. I'm concerned that right now the leadership in place, when it comes to the GOP, like Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell, we're definitely, there's a lot lacking when it comes to leadership right now, and we need to really, there needs to be a change there in the leadership, and we'll see how this all plays out. But at this point, it looks like there will be a sea change coming in 2022, and especially when we start looking around at what's taking place in our nation, from energy to food prices. Try and heat your home now in every aspect of our nation, in you name it, whatever area that has to do with our economy or our society. There seems to be a problem. We're seeing crime just going record-breaking crime right now, and we're starting to see why. We're starting to see, especially when it comes to crime. Obviously, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to realize when you disparage the police and want to defund the police and want to do away with the police, why these things are happening. I'd like to talk a bit. Again, we're going to stick with one other area when it comes to COVID. But Governor Ron DeSantis this past week had a few things to speak about when it came to these blue state politicians escaping to Florida to vacation. And Governor Ron DeSantis spoke on that this past week. I guess AOC showed up in the area, and there's been some other politicians like Gretchen Whitmer from governor of Michigan, and Congressman Eric Swalwell, I guess, showed up there in Florida. But there's been many of these politicians from blue states that want you to mask up, and don't you come out of your house unless you're masked up, and get the jab left and right. But they can escape to Florida, masks off, it's party time, and they're out there. But hey, the state that they've left, they want to lock everybody down and mask everybody up. But they'll run to Florida to vacation, and the masks are gone. Their masks are off. So there's that, and Governor Ron DeSantis spoke about all the politicians that he's seeing and hearing about coming into his state, and he's scratching his head and saying, "Wait a minute, all these blue state politicians coming in and leaving their state that's all locked down and masked up to come to Florida." One other aspect that we're starting to see, we'll move into some politics at this point, but especially when I mentioned the state of the police and what we're seeing, failure on every area of the nation right now. And one was the push to defund the police, and we are seeing evidence of how not only defunding the police, but like in New York here, we've got police walking in undercover and showing up at a restaurant and seeing a 5-year-old, "Let's see your papers," and telling the family and the 5-year-old, "You got to go. You're not, you can't be here." And so the police are being used to go after law-abiding citizens and their children. But yet and still, here in New York City, a Manhattan DA, a Soros-backed DA that just won, is now in campaign on disarming the police, going after the police. And now this DA, a Manhattan DA, wants to downgrade armed robbery to a misdemeanor, especially in New York City, the growing crime wave that's going out of control. But here we go. He wants to, his attitude: we're not going to prosecute, or we're not going to prosecute robbery. We're gonna downgrade that to a misdemeanor. His name is Elvin Bragg, a newly elected Manhattan district attorney, and he's telling his staff, that's what he wants. So what we're seeing here, and this isn't just an isolated issue. We're seeing this DAs, Soros-backed DAs, that are basically doing the same thing, or making, the revolving door. Someone breaks the law or robs someone, they go to court. The judge says, okay, see you later. Same day, 10 minutes in court, and they're back out on the street to do the very same thing. So people are getting arrested 3 or 4 times a day, and then people wonder, why is crime going out of control? Some of these blue state mayors are starting to say, wait a minute, crime's out of control here, and it's like they have no clue on why. When you take a law and say, no, there really isn't, you're not going to be accountable when you break the law, that there's going to be jail time. When that's off the table, then it's, hey, just commit crime. And the sad part about this is that it's typically the same offenders are getting arrested several times, multiple times. And as I mentioned, some are getting arrested 2 and 3 times a day. And this isn't sustainable. This society can't continue on with this, because what it is saying, hey, criminal, no consequence here, and now we're seeing heinous crimes being committed. I'd like to talk a bit. Ted Cruz has been in the news here. He got in a little hot water here for a statement. And basically, we're starting to hear, and I'll touch on Senator Cruz here in a minute, but I just want to step back and say what you can see the political angle on the 2022, the midterms here coming up, and the Democrats have nothing. I mean, when they look at the presidency, the Biden administration, even people in Biden's own party is saying, there's a problem here. And it's failure from every area of this nation. We're seeing a problem. Our military, what took place in Afghanistan? A shame. And we're seeing that in the military, as I said, police, the devaluing our courts and our law enforcement, energy, try and buy some food, and everything is being drastically affected negatively. A failure that we've seen in the first year of the Biden administration, and it's almost as if they don't have a clue. And that's what we've been witnessing here over the last year. But they can only hang their head right now, and this is what they're going to push. This is what you're going to be seeing here for the 2022, because that's all they've got. What am I talking about? January 6th. Yeah, January 6th, and you keep hearing the insurrection here. That our nation was in peril, but yet and still, there's been billions upon billions upon billions that took place in 2020 with burning and looting and killing on display. When we had Antifa and Black Lives Matter, burning down cities. Billions of dollars, several billions of dollars that have been in damages, and businesses having to close their door because of the riots and looting that took place. Now, we may when you talk about insurrection, I don't know what you call that, but that is tearing down the fiber of America right there. But what did you hear? A lot from the media, peaceful protests. That's all that seemed to come out of their mouth, not condemning what was taking place. But their focus, the Democrat political machine has all eyes. They're all focused on making this their single political issue, is how, and wanting to demonize anybody that votes for President Trump or is talking about voting for President Trump. Somehow you're a terrorist. So we see here, and again, we see this game being played out. They tried to Terry McAuliffe tried to play that game when against parents. Concerned parents for their kids, but it backfired on McCulloch when he backed the teachers union and what took place in Loudoun County there in Virginia, and we saw that the parents stood up. But again, you've got these Democrats that want to lump even parents. I mean, you had this National School Board Association sending a letter to Biden administration, Merrick Garland, sick the DOJ on parents. And so we see, anyone that doesn't agree with the Democrat talking point, somehow you're a hater, you're a racist, you're this, that, and the other. And now they're going to try and run and think they're going to win in 2020 by lumping anyone that's GOP or might be supporting Trump as a terrorist. It's not going to work, but that's all they have left. Everything else is failing around the Democrats. So now back to Ted Cruz. I mean, he fell right. And he's getting some heat from what he said. But Ted Cruz was having an interview, and basically his statement was, in talking about this January 6th, the violent terrorist attack on the Capitol, and again, violent terrorists. Okay. Now, I'm not condoning, breaking in and what took place, and when you fight and go after police, then you're going to be held accountable. But I ask you, were these terrorists? Was this a coup? Was this a coup that was attempted? We've seen coups before, and it's not a group of 600, knuckleheads going in and breaking some windows. But again, this is how, the spin gets, the political spin, and that the media is playing the fiddle. Yep, keep playing it. These terrorists, lock them up. And in fact, some have been locked up, and you wonder about, wait a minute, what's justice here? They're letting out Antifa and Black Lives Matter and criminals, as I mentioned, getting arrested 3 or 4 times. And yet you've got some that have been in jail for almost a year for something that would fall into a misdemeanor realm. So we're starting to see here, justice. Is this justice, what we're seeing? But we are seeing politics at play here. So there's going to be more. In fact, again, as I mentioned, this is all that the Democrats have. So that's what you're going to be hearing, and you're going to hear anyone running on the Republican side is going to be smeared as a hater, or condoning terrorism, and the label of a terrorist attack on the Capitol, and totally ignore what else had been taking place in the year 2020. So we're going to see how that's played out, and watch. You'll hear it. And right now, they're the anniversary. They're playing this to the hilt when it comes to January 6th. So again, we have the state of our, we want to look back. We're in the year 2022, and if we just briefly take a look back, and we talked about our economy and where our nation is right now, but also look back on what our standing is in the world, and those areas right now that I really didn't hone in on. But I mean, you've got Russia and Ukraine. Things are building up there. And right now, guaranteed, Vladimir Putin is not at all concerned with Joe Biden. Xi Jinping, not at all concerned with this guy in the White House. So we're seeing bad actors because of weakness being shown. When you have the debacle that took place in Afghanistan, and how we've left our own people behind, a lot of world leaders are saying, what is going on here? Even our allies, in the back of their mind, are probably talking amongst one another. How long can we stay aligned with the United States? And they're looking to jettison and unite with other leaders in the area to say we might have to go this without the United States, because they're not a reliable ally, and they've been showing it. So that's I believe what the talk has been around the world. Our standing. This was a guy who was talking about bringing the nation together, being a healer and a leader. And it's far from it when we take a look back and look at what has taken place in a year's time, where our nation is standing right now. So again, when it comes to the Republicans taking the House and Senate, the prospects are looking good for in the year 2020. We'll see how this all plays out, and we already know the what I believe is the political game that's going to be played here in this year when it comes to politics, wanting to demonize anyone in the Republican camp as haters and so-called anarchists and terrorists. We're going to see that drumbeat beating. But as I mentioned, even in the Democrat Party, people are looking and saying, "Wait a minute, I can't buy. What I used to spend on to provide for my family is almost doubled. In some cases, in some areas, tripled." And they're saying, "Wait a minute, I can't provide for my family under this leadership and where our nation is right now." So even many in the Democrat Party and their voters are saying, "Wait a minute, we can't continue on. This state of affairs is not sustainable," and they're even talking about jumping ship and righting this ship. So there'll more to come. A lot of politics in this coming year, especially with the 2022 midterm election, and they're already talking about that there may be a sea change happening in both houses. So we will see. 9 months is quite a bit of time. So we'll keep an eye on what the pulse of the nation of what's been going on. And right now we're going to shift gears here and take a higher look.